Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Tanvi Taneja and with me is Nishit Kumar with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserts today's budget will bring positive changes for individuals, industry, investors and infrastructure sector, says villages and farmers are at the heart of this budget. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presents first ever union budget digitally with emphasis on Atmanirbhar Bharat. Capital expenditure steeply increased to provide 5.54 lakh crore rupees. Budget outlay for health and well-being hiked by 137% to over 2.23 lakh crore rupees. PM Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana to be launched to develop capacities in the healthcare system over 6 years. Agricultural credit target enhanced to 16.5 lakh crore rupees in the next fiscal. Capital outlay increased by nearly 19%, giving defence modernization historic push. Fiscal deficit pegged at 6.8% of the GDP. Tax holiday for startups extended for another year till March 2022. And leaders and financial experts hail the budget as a step in the right direction. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin this bulletin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, and focusing on hand hygiene and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that today's budget will bring positive changes for individuals, industry, investors and infrastructure sector. Calling it historic, Mr. Modi said the vision of self-reliance can be seen in this budget. He said villages and farmers are at the heart of today's budget. Let us listen to Prime Minister's views on the budget.
वर्ष 2021 का बजट असाधारण परिस्थितियों के बीच पेश किया गया है। इसमें यथार्थ का एहसास भी और विकास का विश्वास भी है। कोरोना ने दुनिया में जो प्रभाव पैदा किया, उसने पूरी मानव जाति को हिलाकर रख दिया है। इन परिस्थितियों के बीच आज का बजट भारत के आत्मविश्वास को उजागर करने वाला है और साथ ही दुनिया में एक नया आत्मविश्वास भरने वाला है। आज के बजट में आत्मनिर्भरता का विजन भी है और हर नागरिक, हर वर्ग का समावेश भी है। हम इस बजट में जिन सिद्धांतों को लेकर चले हैं, वो हैं ग्रोथ के लिए नए अवसरों, नई संभावनाओं का विस्तार करना, युवाओं के लिए नए अवसरों का निर्माण करना, मानव संसाधन को एक नया आयाम देना, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर निर्माण के लिए नए नए क्षेत्रों को विकसित करना, आधुनिकता की तरफ आगे बढ़ना, नए सुधार लाना। साथियों, नियमों और प्रक्रियाओं को सरल बनाकर आम लोगों के जीवन में ईज ऑफ लिविंग को बढ़ाने पर इस बजट में जोर दिया गया है। ये बजट इंडिविजुअल्स, इन्वेस्टर्स, इंडस्ट्री और साथ ही इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर में बहुत सकारात्मक बदलाव लाएगा। मैं इसके लिए देश की वित्त मंत्री निर्मला जी को और उनके साथी मंत्री अनुराग जी और उनकी टीम को बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। साथियों, ऐसे बजट देखने को कम ही मिलते हैं जिसमें शुरू के 1-2 घंटों में ही इतने सकारात्मक रिस्पांस आए। कोरोना के चलते कई एक्सपर्ट्स ये मानकर चल रहे थे सरकार आम नागरिकों पर बोझ बढ़ाएगी, लेकिन फिस्कल सस्टेनेबिलिटी के प्रति अपने दायित्वों को ध्यान में रखते हुए सरकार ने बजट साइज बढ़ाने पर जोर दिया। हमारी सरकार ने निरंतर प्रयास किया है कि बजट ट्रांसपेरेंट होना चाहिए। मुझे खुशी है कि आज अनेक विद्वानों ने इस बजट की ट्रांसपेरेंसी की सराहना की है। साथियों, भारत कोरोना की लड़ाई में रिएक्टिव होने के स्थान पर हमेशा ही प्रोएक्टिव रहा है। चाहे वो कोरोना के काल में किए गए रिफॉर्म्स हो या फिर आत्मनिर्भर भारत का संकल्प, इसी प्रोएक्टिवनेस को बढ़ाते हुए आज के बजट में भी रिएक्टिव का नामो निशान नहीं है। साथ ही हम एक्टिव पर, स्टेटस को पर भी अटके नहीं हैं और हमने इस बजट में भी प्रोएक्टिव बजट देकर के देश के सामने प्रोएक्टिव होने का संदेश दिया है। ये बजट उन सेक्टर्स पर विशेष रूप से केंद्रित है जिनसे वेल्थ और वेलनेस दोनों ही तेज गति से बढ़ेंगे, जान भी जहान भी। इसमें एमएसएमईज और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर विशेष रूप से जोर दिया गया है। इसी तरह ये बजट जिस तरह से हेल्थ केयर पर केंद्रित है वो भी अभूतपूर्व है। ये बजट देश के हर क्षेत्र में विकास यानी ऑल राउंड डेवलपमेंट की बात करता रहता है। खास तौर पर मुझे खुशी है कि इस बजट में दक्षिण के हमारे राज्य, पूर्वोत्तर के हमारे राज्य और उत्तर में लेह लद्दाख जैसे क्षेत्रों में विकास पर विशेष ध्यान दिया है। ये बजट भारत के कोस्टल स्टेट्स जैसे तमिलनाडु, केरल, पश्चिम बंगाल, इनको एक बिजनेस पावर हाउस बनाने की दिशा में एक बड़ा कदम उठाए। नॉर्थ ईस्ट के राज्य जैसे असम के अनएक्सप्लोर्ड पोटेंशियल को टैप करने में ये बजट बहुत बड़ी मदद करेगा। इस बजट में जिस तरह से रिसर्च एंड इनोवेशन इकोसिस्टम पर बल दिया गया है, जो प्रावधान किए गए हैं, उनसे हमारे युवाओं को ताकत मिलेगी। भारत उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए बहुत ठोस कदम रखेगा। साथियों, देश के सामान्य मानवी का, महिलाओं का जीवन आसान बनाने के लिए उनके स्वास्थ्य, स्वच्छता, पोषण, शुद्ध जल और अवसरों की समानता, इस पर इस बजट में विशेष बल दिया गया है। बजट में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर खर्च में अभूतपूर्व वृद्धि के साथ साथ कई व्यवस्थागत सुधार किए गए हैं, जिसका बहुत बड़ा फायदा देश में ग्रोथ और जॉब क्रिएशन, रोजगार के लिए बहुत लाभ होगा। देश में एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर को मजबूती देने के लिए, किसानों की आय बढ़ाने के लिए इस बजट में बहुत जोर दिया गया है। कई प्रावधान किए गए हैं। एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर में किसानों को और आसानी से और ज्यादा ऋण मिल सकेगा। देश की मंडियों को यानी एपीएमसी को और मजबूत करने के लिए, सशक्त करने के लिए एग्रीकल्चर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फंड से मदद का प्रावधान किया गया है। ये सब निर्णय ये दिखाते हैं कि इस बजट के दिल में गांव है, हमारे किसान है। एमएसएमई सेक्टर को गति देने के लिए, रोजगार के अवसर बढ़ाने के लिए इस बार एमएसएमई सेक्टर का बजट भी पिछले साल की तुलना में 2 गुना से ज्यादा कर दिया गया है। साथियों, ये बजट आत्मनिर्भरता के उस रास्ते को लेकर आगे बढ़ा है जिसमें देश के हर नागरिक की प्रगति शामिल है। ये बजट इस दशक की शुरुआत की एक मजबूत नींव रखने वाला बजट है। सभी देशवासियों को आत्मनिर्भर भारत के इस महत्वपूर्ण बजट के लिए मैं बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। फिर से एक बार वित्त मंत्री जी और उनकी टीम को बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन करता हूं, धन्यवाद करता हूं।
Earlier this morning, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented the Union Budget 2021-22 in Parliament with a wish to lay a vision for an Atmanirbhar Bharat. She said Atmanirbhar Bharat is an expression of 130 crore Indians who have full confidence in their capabilities and skills.
Our manufacturing companies need to become an integral part of global supply chains, possess core competence and cutting-edge technology. To achieve all of the above, PLI schemes to create manufacturing global champions for an Atmanirbhar Bharat have been announced for 13 sectors. For this, the government has committed nearly 1.97 lakh crores over 5 years starting this financial year. This initiative will help bring scale and size in key sectors, create and nurture global champions and provide jobs to our youth.
The budget proposals rest on 6 pillars of health and well-being, physical and financial capital and infrastructure, inclusive development for aspirational India, reinvigorating human capital, innovation and research and development, and minimum government, maximum governance. The proposals will further strengthen the Sankalp of Nation First, doubling farmers' income, strong infrastructure, healthy India, good governance, opportunities for youth, education for all, women empowerment, and inclusive development, among others. Senior citizens of 75 years of age and having only pension income are exempted from filing their income tax returns.
relief to senior citizens. I begin my direct tax proposals by offering my pranam to our senior citizens. Many of them, despite having foregone several basic necessities of their own, have strived to build our nation. Now in the 75th year of independence of our country, when we continue our endeavor with renewed vigor, we shall reduce compliance burden on our senior citizens who are 75 years of age and above. For senior citizens who only have pension and interest income, I propose exemption from filing their income tax returns.
To promote affordable housing in the country, the government has extended till 31st of March 2022 the eligibility for additional deduction of interest amounting to 1.5 lakh rupees for the loan taken to purchase an affordable house. To keep up the supply of affordable houses, the minister said that affordable housing projects can avail a tax holiday for one more year till 31st of March 2022. The government has also allowed tax exemption for notified affordable rental housing projects for migrant workers.
We are committed to promote supply of affordable rental housing for migrant workers. For this, I propose to allow tax exemption for notified affordable rental housing projects.
To provide adequate credit to farmers, the government has enhanced the agricultural credit target to 16.5 lakh crore rupees in the next fiscal, with a focus on ensuring increased credit flows to animal husbandry, dairy and fisheries. The government has also enhanced the allocation to the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund from 30,000 to 40,000 crore rupees. It has enlarged the scope of Operation Green Scheme to include 22 perishable products besides tomatoes, onions and potatoes. The government has also decided to integrate 1,000 more mandis with e-NAM to ensure transparency and competitiveness in agricultural market. The Agriculture Infrastructure Fund will be made available to the APMCs for augmenting their infrastructure facilities. A new centrally sponsored scheme, PM Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana, will be launched with an outlay of about 64,180 crores over 6 years. This will be in addition to the National Health Mission. To strengthen nutritional content, delivery, outreach and outcome, the Supplementary Nutrition Program and the Poshan Abhiyan will be merged, and Mission Poshan 2.0 will be launched to improve nutritional outcomes across 112 aspirational districts. Jal Jeevan Mission Urban will be launched to provide universal water supply in all 4,378 urban local bodies, with 2.86 crore household tap connections to be implemented over 5 years, with an outlay of 2,87,000 crores.
The Jal Jeevan Mission Urban will be launched. It aims at universal water supply in all 4,378 urban local bodies with 2.86 crores household tap connections, as well as liquid waste management in 500 Amrit cities. It will be implemented over 5 years with an outlay of 2,87,000 crores.
Urban Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0 will be implemented with a total financial allocation of over 1.41 lakh crores over a period of 5 years from 2021 to 2026. 35,000 crore rupees was already allotted for COVID-19 vaccines in the budget estimate 2021-22. Further funds will be provided if required. An increase of 137% has been provided from the budget outlay for health and well-being, that is over 2.23 lakh crore rupees as against this year's budget estimate of 94,452 crores. To make the nation a $5 trillion economy, the government has committed nearly 1.97 lakh crores over 5 years starting financial year 2021-22. Mega investment textile parks will be launched in addition to the production-linked incentive scheme to create world-class infrastructure in exports. 7 textile parks will be established over 3 years. A professionally managed development financial institution will be set up to provide, enable and to act as catalyst for infrastructure financing. A sum of 20,000 crore rupees will be provided to capitalize this institution. Capital expenditure has been steeply increased to provide 5.54 lakh crores, which is 34.5% more than the budget estimate of 2020-21. Over and above this expenditure, more than 2 lakh crores is to be provided to states and autonomous bodies for their capital expenditure. An enhanced outlay of over 1.18 lakh crores for the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways has been provided, of which over 1.08 lakh crores is for the capital, the highest ever. Indian Railways has prepared a National Rail Plan for India 2030 to create a future-ready railway system by 2030. It is expected that the Western Dedicated Freight Corridor, DFC, and Eastern DFC will be commissioned by June 2022. A record sum of over 1.10 lakh crore rupees has been provided for railways, of which over 1.07 lakh crores is for capital expenditure. A new scheme will be launched at a cost of 18,000 crore rupees to support augmentation of public bus transport services. A revamped power distribution sector scheme will also be launched with an outlay of over 3.05 lakh crores over 5 years. To generate an additional 1.5 lakh jobs, efforts will be made to bring more ships to India from Europe and Japan for recycling, with a capacity of around 4.5 million light displacement tons, which will be doubled by 2024.
An additional reduction of interest amounting to 1.5 lakh rupees for the loan taken to purchase an affordable house will be extended for 1 more year. Time limit for reopening of assessment of income tax proposed will be reduced to 3 years from the present 6 years. To further reduce litigation for small taxpayers, it is proposed to constitute a dispute resolution committee which will be faceless. Anyone with a taxable income up to 50 lakh and disputed income up to 10 lakh shall be eligible to approach the committee. A National Faceless Income Tax Appellate Tribunal Centre will be set up. In order to incentivize startups in the country, the government has extended the eligibility for claiming tax holiday for startups by 1 more year till 31st of March 2022. The government has also extended the capital gains exemption for investment in startups by 1 more year till 31st of March 2022 to incentivize funding of the startups. The government has increased FDI limit from 49 to 74% in the insurance companies and allowed foreign ownership and control with safeguards. The government has proposed to infuse 20,000 crore rupees to recapitalize public sector banks. The government plans to complete strategic disinvestment in BPCL, Air India, Shipping Corporation of India, Container Corporation of India, IDBI Bank, BEML, Pawan Hans, Neelachal Ispat Nigam Limited, among others, in the next fiscal. Other than the IDBI Bank, the government will also take up the privatization of 2 public sector banks and 1 general insurance company in the year 2021-22. A bill in this regard will be introduced in the budget session of Parliament itself. To fast forward its disinvestment policy, the government has asked Niti Aayog to work out on the next list of central public sector companies that would be taken up for strategic disinvestment. Government will also bring the IPO of LIC. To give a boost to fisheries in the country, the government has proposed substantial investments in the development of modern fishing harbours and fishing landing centres. The Finance Minister informed that One Nation, One Ration Card plan is under implementation by 32 states and UTs, reaching about 69 crore beneficiaries, covering 86% of the total beneficiaries. She said the remaining 4 states and UTs will be brought under One Nation, One Ration Card plan in the next few months. The government has decided to extend social security benefits to gig and platform workers for the first time. Minimum wages will apply to all categories of workers and they will all be covered by the Employees State Insurance Corporation. Women will be allowed to work in all categories and also in night shifts with adequate protection. At the same time, compliance burden on employers will be reduced with single registration and licensing and online returns. To further facilitate credit flow under the scheme of Stand Up India for SCs, STs and women, the government has reduced the margin money requirement from 25 to 15% and to also include loans for activities allied to agriculture. The government has also taken a number of steps to support the MSME sector. It has provided 15,700 crore rupees to this sector in the next fiscal, more than double of this year's budget estimates. In school education, more than 15,000 schools will be qualitatively strengthened to include all components of the national education policy. These schools will emerge as exemplary schools in the regions, hand-holding and mentoring other schools to achieve the ideals of the policy. The government will also set up 100 new Sainik schools in partnership with NGOs, private schools and states. The government will bring legislation this year to set up the Higher Education Commission of India. It will be an umbrella body having 4 separate vehicles for standard setting, accreditation, regulation and funding. The government will also set up a central university in Leh to ensure access to higher education in Ladakh. The government has allocated 35,219 crore rupees for the post-matric scholarship scheme till 2025-26 to benefit 4 crore SC students. It has also increased the unit cost of Ekalavya model residential schools in tribal areas from 20 to 38 crore rupees and that of 48 crore rupees in the hilly and difficult areas. This would help in creating robust infrastructure facilities for tribal students. The government has decided to set up National Nursing and Midwifery Commission to ensure transparency, efficiency and governance reforms in the nursing profession. The government will bring a bill in this regard. The Finance Minister has provided 1,000 crore rupees for the welfare of tea workers, especially women and their children in Assam and West Bengal. The fiscal deficit for the financial year is 2021-22 pegged at 6.8%. The total resources being transferred to the states, including the devolution of state share, grants, loans and releases under centrally sponsored scheme in budget estimate for the fiscal is 13,88,502 crore rupees, which shows an increase of 74,565 crores over the revised estimate of 2020-21. The Finance Minister said the domestic electronic manufacturing has grown rapidly, where India is now exporting items like mobiles and chargers. For greater domestic value addition, a few exemptions on parts of chargers and subparts of mobiles are being withdrawn. Further, some parts of mobiles will move from nil rate to a moderate 2.5%. The Finance Minister narrated Rabindranath Tagore's words, "Faith is the bird that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark."
Now, just as it happened after the 2 world wars, there are signs that the political, economic and strategic relations in the post-COVID world are changing. This moment in history is the dawn of a new era, one in which India is well poised to truly be the land of promise and hope. I borrow the words of Rabindranath Tagore. Faith is the bird that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark.
Briefing media in New Delhi this afternoon, the Finance Minister said that Budget 2021 introduces various reforms in financial sectors. She said progressive steps have been taken, such as IPO of LIC, opening up of the insurance sector to FDI and continuation of disinvestment.
Disinvestment to continue, LIC to have IPO, insurance sector to have more in terms of opening up for 74% for FDI. These are very clear progressive steps in financial sector.
Ms. Sitharaman said the government has come up with a formulation to clean up NPAs of banks. The minister said agriculture has received emphasis in this budget with increased allocation for credit flow through NABARD, bringing in agriculture infrastructure development cess through restructuring without consumers having to pay more. She said fiscal deficit, which started at 3.5% during February 2020, has increased to 9.5% of GDP. The government has spent a lot and at the same time it has given a clear glide path for deficit management. On farm laws, the minister said the government has always been open for a dialogue with farmers. She said the agriculture minister has been ready for a clause-by-clause discussion with farmers on the farm laws.
एग्रीकल्चर मिनिस्टर उनके साथ बैठ करके बात करने में कभी भी संकोच नहीं किया और बार बार ये भी बोलते हैं कि ये तीनों कानून से अब क्लॉज बाय क्लॉज चर्चा करिए, हम करने के लिए तैयार हैं। चर्चा ही रास्ता है, चर्चा करने के लिए सरकार ओपन है। किसान जिनको भी मन में कुछ प्रश्न है, संकोच है और डाउट्स है, वो जरूर बात करने के लिए आगे आए, सरकार से बात करें।
Union Budget 2021-22 has given historic push to defence modernization by increasing defence capital outlay by 18.75%. The allocation under capital expenditure, which relates to modernization and infrastructure development of armed forces, has been significantly increased. The allocation under capital of over 1,35,060 crore rupees for financial year 2021-22 represents an increase of 18.75% over financial year 2020-21 and 30.62% over financial year 2019-20. This is the highest ever increase in capital outlay of defence in the last 15 years. Defence allocation in the budget has been increased to over 4,78,195 crore rupees for the financial year 2021-22. The capital allocation for DRDO has been increased to over 11,375 crore rupees, an increase of 8% over 2020-21 and 8.5% over 2019-20. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman for increasing the defence budget to 4.78 lakh crores for the financial year 2021-22.
Union Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari welcomed the voluntary vehicle scrappage policy announced in the Union budget today. Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar said this budget fulfills the aspirations of all sections of society.
ये बजट देश को नई दिशा दिखाने वाला है। जिस तरह से रोड, पोर्ट, एयरपोर्ट, रेलवे सब प्रकार के मूलभूत संरचनाओं को बहुत ज्यादा मात्रा में पैसा रखा है, उससे देश भी आगे बढ़ेगा और रोजगार भी बहुत मात्रा में पैदा होगा।
Reacting on the Union budget, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath said that this budget is not only for fulfilling the aspirations of the countrymen and dreams of common man, but also an important step towards making country a strong and prosperous nation. JDU President and Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar congratulated the centre for coming out with a balanced Union budget despite constraints on revenue collection in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. Niti Aayog Vice Chairman Rajiv Kumar welcomed the budget and said that it focuses on development and reviving the economy.
और ये साफ जाहिर किया है कि वो अर्थव्यवस्था को बढ़ाने का उनका पूरा फोकस है और उससे ही हमारे रोजगार भी बढ़ेंगे, हमारी जीडीपी भी तेजी से बढ़ेगी और जो हमारी इंक्लूजन की स्कीम्स हैं जैसे कि उज्ज्वला में अब 8 करोड़ तो हो गए, 1 करोड़ और बढ़ाने की बात है हाउस होल्ड को, उन सब पर भी हम अपना खर्चा ठीक से कर सकें।
Talking to AIR News, FICCI President Uday Shankar said this is a very good and progressive budget.
I think it's a very, very good budget. Outstanding. We were all concerned that given how difficult it is, how tough the times are, will there be enough focus on growth? Will the government be able to avoid putting pain and burden on the people? I think the Finance Minister has done an exceptional job of managing both of those. It's very focused on growth. There are some very innovative ideas for augmenting government's resources without putting additional burden on either the corporate sector and entrepreneurs or ordinary people.
Benchmark domestic stocks today skyrocketed around 5%, welcoming Union Budget 2021-22. The BSE Sensex closed above 48,500 mark, while the NSE Nifty settled near 14,300 level. The Sensex surged 2,315 points or 5% to 48,601. The NSE Nifty also climbed 647 points or 4.7% to 14,281.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserts today's budget will bring positive changes for individuals, industry, investors and infrastructure sector, says villages and farmers are at the heart of this budget. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presents first ever Union budget digitally with emphasis on Atmanirbhar Bharat. Capital expenditure steeply increased to provide 5.54 lakh crore rupees. Budget outlay for health and well-being hiked by 137% to over 2.23 lakh crore rupees. PM Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana to be launched to develop capacities in the healthcare system over 6 years. Agricultural credit target enhanced to 16.5 lakh crore rupees in the next fiscal. Capital outlay increased by nearly 19%, giving defence modernization historic push. Fiscal deficit pegged at 6.8% of the GDP. Tax holiday for startups extended for another year till March 2022. And leaders and financial experts hail the budget as a step in the right direction. And with that, we end the evening news. From all of us here, good night.